The book, you mentioned the book. You're writing this book about living with the Jackson family. Mm-hmm. What can we expect to see in?
Let's just say you'll see lots of things that you haven't heard.
Oh, that's a good plug for a book.
Okay.
But it's the story that we lived. I call it the life of a lie that we lived, because we always had to smile for the public.
Yes.
But inside there was so much pain.
My father beat me, and he beat me, and he beat me, and then he threw me in the bathroom, and he closed the door. Beat me with a belt buckle and a switch. He would take guns and put them to our heads and pull the trigger all the time until the day I left home. He would take matches and burn our toes, and he would laugh, and we couldn't do anything.
You can't say no because he beats you. You can't.
Yeah.
And it's bad because he would always tell me that I was nothing and I never will be nothing. Yeah. And I always remember these words.
He beat me. I didn't know why, because when you're young, you don't understand. But it was because I didn't speak up and talk in school. And the reason for that is because I saw so much going on inside the house. I said to myself, I don't want to be a part of this, and I would never talk. I was so quiet and shy. The brothers would say that my father would walk behind them, not with them, and he would say, I'm not with them. He was never there when any of us were born. And my mother had 11 children, and he wasn't there, she said, at any of the births. My brothers were grown, and my father would take his fist and he would punch them and knock them down the steps constantly.
Would they provoke him?
To this day, no, of course not. To this day, they are still afraid of my father, and they will tell you.
That's why I call it a life of a lie that we all lived, because our parents always told us to smile for the camera and pretend as if nothing was wrong. And in America, as you all know, we were sort of like quoted as the perfect image of an all-American family. And so we had to live up to that reputation no matter what.
Telling endless tales of physical abuse at the hands of an abusive father. Each day, LaToya's accusations seemed to become more intense, more vivid. And then finally, last week, they became devastating.
So you come on the show and you say, hey, look, I have a revelation to make. It's a painful revelation to make. I've never said this before on national television.
Right.
I was abused as a child by my father.
Right.
And what you're about to talk about is really even more shocking, because you say you were sexually abused by your father.
Yes, my sister and myself were both molested by my father. He would abuse my sister. We slept in the same bed, and he would sexually abuse her, come into the bed constantly, and I was right there in the same bed. So I recall him getting in the bed with us and doing the acts with her. And eventually my sister just decided that she wanted to leave home, that she could not deal with it anymore, so she left home. And that's when he started sexually abusing me when she left home. And Ruby picked up the phone and she called the police one time, I recall, as a young girl. I recall it very, very well. And you know what I did?
Did the police come?
You know what I did later? Yes, they did.
And what happened?
And my mother said, oh, there's nothing wrong here. Everything's just fine. Thank you. My mother would allow it to happen. She would say to him sometimes, Joe, not tonight. She's tired. Don't bother her. And I would be right there in the bed. And I would keep the covers over my head because I would hear my sister fighting and screaming. And Ruby would say, Mother, please go get him help. He needs help. And my mother wouldn't. My father was disturbed. I think any man who sexually abused his daughter, something is wrong right here. But nothing was wrong with my mother, and she allowed him to do these things. And Ruby told me, she says, LaToya, I worried all these years about you and Janet. Did he ever do to you what he was doing to me? Did he ever sexually abuse you? And she said, please tell me. And I said, Ruby, there's some things that we don't talk about, isn't there? I did not enjoy when he made me, can I say this, play with his and do things with his. I did not enjoy that. But that's something that went on. That's something that took place in our household.
Did you put that in the book?
The sexual abuse is definitely in my book. You have to read between the lines. I didn't elaborate.
That you don't write about in the book. You allude to it, that your sister Ruby left.
I touch it very lightly because it's something that the book company did not want to really elaborate on because they felt that it would be infringing on someone's personal life. It's a very touchy subject, and it's dealing with my sister, and I wasn't able to talk about myself just yet. You have to be ready to come out and talk about these things. But I feel that abuse is something that we need to speak about, speak openly about. That's what's wrong with society today. I couldn't deal with it anymore. Mentally, I couldn't deal. I thought about my father and what he did to me every single day. I felt like I was going to explode if I didn't get the answers. I called my mother up on the phone several times. Mother, please tell me why Joseph did these things to me. Why did he do this? Why did he sexually abuse me? Why did you watch him do this? And she says, Latoya, this is something that's private. You keep it in the family. You don't tell people about it. When they denied it, that's when I had to come out and say, okay, he did it to me too.
I see.
Because I was tired of hiding and holding everything back.
I was hoping that this book and what I'm saying would unite the family by them coming out and saying, yes, this happened and we're sorry that it happened. My brothers and sisters by saying, finally, somebody spoke out. Because they're not happy. Whether they say they are or not, they're not happy.
And they have all approached me at different times. And they've cried. And they've said, I'm terribly afraid of my father. It's a shame, but I can't stand to be in the same room with him. And they would always refer to him as, I hate him. I hate him. He used to play this game with me all the time. And say, Latoya, tell me the truth. If Joseph died, would you care? Would you cry? And I would say, why would you say that, would you? He goes, you answer first. I go, no, you answer. He says, no, I could care less. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't miss him at all.
His book, Moonwalk, really didn't scratch the surface that you've really dug up.
No, because, again, this is very typical of a very dysfunctional family, and it shows you that he only wanted the public to know what he wanted them to know.
Michael will only tell you what he wants you to know, and the rest of the family will too. But it's not as sweet and apple pie-ish as they say. It's not the life that people think it is. It's very sad. And the only reason I'm speaking out is to let people know that it's okay to speak out and say that this family is dysfunctional or what we've done was wrong, what my parents did to us was wrong.
The thoughts of suicide, did you have them or all of your siblings?
I can't say all of my siblings had them, but a lot of them did. Yes, they did have them. They tried to commit suicide. They've spoken about it. You have to realize, Larry, that we lived a very, very unhappy life. There were so many of my brothers and sisters who talked about and made attempts of committing suicide.
The point of the matter is, it's not which brother and sister tried to do it. The point of the matter is that we lived in a household that would drive you to do something like this.
My parents laid down certain rules, and one of those rules, of course, were you were not to leave home unless you were married, and of course I wasn't married, and they felt that I belonged at home.
You have to remember, we were raised very secludedly. My parents really kept a tab on everything we did. They would never really allow anyone to come really near us.
Why did you wait so long to get out of the house, Latoya?
I tried to leave several times, actually. And my parents are very good with throwing these guilt trips on you, saying you can't leave the house, you're a Jackson, and somebody's going to follow you, and they're going to kidnap you. And my father, he took my luggage, and he threw it back in the room, and he threw me in the room, and he closed the door and says, you're not going anywhere. You have to know this person. He's a very strong and robust man who pushes you back, no, you're not going anywhere, and if you do, I'll find you and bring you right back here. And your mother's saying, don't go, Latoya. And Janet's saying, it's not worth it. Stay home, it's not worth it.
Sent my father several letters, actually, but my father's the kind of person, he didn't acknowledge them. And when he would come home, it was very, very difficult for me because he would never mention it. And I would wonder, did he get that letter? Until that one day, and he came home and said, that's it. I'm not letting you go. I'm going to hold on to you. But it got to the point where I felt that it's my life, and I'm growing up, and I need to experience, and I need to kind of wet my feet a little bit.
Why did you marry your husband?
Because I had to.
Why?
Because my parents had kidnap attempts out after me, which I didn't believe. And the only way that I could protect myself is to have the last name Gordon. And I was performing one night, and the minute I got off the stage, my manager said, come with me. And I said, where? He says, I'm going to marry you. I said, you can't marry me. I don't even like you. He says, but you must marry me. He says, I have to protect you. The only thing you can do now is marry me, and your name will become Gordon, and you'll be my wife, and they can no longer say that or do that to you.
There's been 2 major kidnap attempts on Latoya that were stopped, that were paid and financed by Michael Jackson.
And I find it very ironic that my parents, who hate Mr. Gordon, and they didn't want this to happen, but they pushed us into a marriage that we didn't want, that I didn't want.
Still, you posed for the Playboy. Was that a way to punish your parents, or to say, now I'm grown up and I do whatever I want to do?
It was a way to show them that this is my independence. and I do what I choose and what I will. It's also a way of getting back at the religion to show them that you don't control and dictate to me anymore.
Well, you have to realize that when I did Playboy, of course, my parents were the first people that I thought about. And I said, well, gosh, what are they going to think? But then again, I mentioned several times to Phil, it's my life, and I have to live it for me. I've lived 30 years of my life for my parents. And don't you think it's time for me to live for LaToya now?
Has the family generally been supportive here?
Well, somewhat. My parents, of course, are totally against it, and they think it's the worst thing that I could have ever done.
Yeah. Your brother, for example, has he seen the pictures, Michael?
Yes, he has.
And what did he think of these?
Well, actually, he saw them before they were ever printed, and he thought they were great.
Yeah.
And we spoke about it, and he said, I understand why you did it. And he says, I think it was a great career move, and he said, I think the pictures are lovely.
The first time I did it, my mother called me and said, as long as you live, don't you ever do that. I'll never speak to you. And I would call her constantly, and she'd hang the phone up in my face. And I said, that control is still there, still dominating my life, still controlling me, telling me what to do. This was my punishment for posing, not speaking to me.
I would have bet my life that my daughter wouldn't have gotten in Playboy and gotten naked. It was so hard for me. And the reason why my daughter, she always wore long dresses, she always wore pants or boots. She never exposed herself.
She was very conservative.
Very. Very.
I'm just thinking it must be very hard for you.
Well, it is hard, but life goes on. I can't sit down and build up stress over what LaToya out there is saying. I got to keep on going. I got a life to live.
Well, it was hard for me. I'm telling you, it was very hard for me because I couldn't believe that I had a daughter out there saying things like this. It's the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life, besides the death of my mother.
I feel that she's being hypnotized, told a lot of stuff, and say, when you wake up, this is what happened. And because what she's saying is not true. So I just don't believe it's her. I don't think she'd go out there and tell all these lies.
I never abused any child at all, you know. So, but I did punish them. That's the only way I could get the attention to be professional entertainers.
This didn't happen, Joe?
No, it did not, Phil. It did not happen, and I don't know anything about that, and Catherine can bear with me.
It's all lies, Phil. It's not the truth.
You, she claims, Catherine, are an anti-Semite, which you spoke often and negatively about Jews.
Phil, that is not true.
That's not true, Phil.
Anyone knew who Toya was married to, who which is her manager to. If they know his background, they know that this is what this man does. I'm not putting all the blame on him. I blame my daughter too. I feel sorry for her. I feel that she's being brainwashed.
Your family claims that it's your manager, who's also your husband, who kind of forces you to write this book and to do all these things.
No, he has absolutely nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, he never knew about the abuse. He always assumed. I would always deny it with him. I would always say no, but he always assumed. And other people would tell him, and he would say, tell me the truth. And I would never tell him.
What would you want to say to her? What would you want her to know?
I'd like to say to her that we still love her, and we know that she said a lot of things about us that's not true. And we wish she'd stop all this, what she's saying, and come on back home. We're not trying to make her stay if she don't want to. She's her own woman, but come back into the family fold.
Is your mother an awful character, yes or no?
I would say absolutely yes. But to the public, she appears like an angel. When she's on television, she's, oh, LaToya, I love you so much. Please come home and please call. And what do? I pick up the phone and I call, and she hangs up.
What I would like to see more than anything else is to have my parents on television with me, and we discuss this and get it out in the open.
Why doesn't any one of your siblings support you now when you reveal the truth about your family?
Because it's something that you keep quiet. It's a stage that you go through, a denial stage.
I mean, the stories that you've heard about abuse and all that, that's not true. And I know my sister has said lots of things and lots of lies about myself. That bothers me very much for her to say something like that. But I think, I'm not going to harp on this, but I think it's just a way of getting attention, the attention that she didn't get from the public. I know she's always, she's never really had the success that the rest of the family really has had, and now she's being acknowledged by the public because of this. And it's like kind of like her claim to fame in a sense.
what appears to be a united front against LaToya, she insists Michael feels the same way about their father as she does, no matter what he says publicly. She says Michael gets physically sick before a performance if he knows his father is in the audience.
And I said, why? And he says, because I don't like him, I hate him, and I'll get sick to my stomach and I won't be able to perform. He doesn't want to look anything like my father. There's a lot they don't know. And that could be one of the reasons why he's doing this.
LaToya knows people often compare the two of them, but she says even she was shocked by what she saw at the Super Bowl.
When I saw him, of course, you know, he's your brother and I love him dearly. And it was, gosh, he looks so different.
You all aren't all upset about LaToya and LaToya's book and the things that LaToya has said about the family?
Well, I haven't read LaToya's book. I just know I love my sister dearly. I love LaToya, and I always will. And I always see her as the happy, loving LaToya that I remember growing up with. So I couldn't completely answer on that.
Do you feel that some of the things that she's been saying are true?
I couldn't answer, Oprah. Honestly, I haven't read the book. That's the honest truth.
Family, they're so wholesome. And, we all took pictures together back in the 70s. We were all so close, and Joseph was, Papa Joe, And then Toya told the truth. For everything, because that's publicity. The Jackson family, they lived in a ghetto in Gary, Indiana, and they made it, and they're so tight-knit, my ass.
Is there a second family of sorts that he has?
He has another daughter, yes. She's very proud from what I understand. She goes around and she gives interviews and tells everybody that she's the sister of the Jacksons. We have never seen her. Her father does have another family.
Like a second a mistress and children and...
Yes.
Your mother always aware of this?
My mother's very much aware of it. As a matter of fact, she was very disturbed by it at one point when they lived on the other side of town, and he actually moved them right up under our nose in the same neighborhood. My mother was very hurt by it.
Really?
My mother also wrote a book, and she also mentions that in her book, and she also mentions my father's second family and so many other things. But she omitted this from her book in America, but the book that she wrote in Paris, it's still there.
Daughter by another woman, and that you led a double life, and that you housed your other family in the same neighborhood. Is this true, Joe?
No.
You don't have another family?
No daughter named Anna, Phil.
She says that Catherine knows about this, Joe.
LaToya been talking the whole family, not just me, just the whole family.
Catherine, do you have anything to say about that?
Well, Phil, the only thing I'd like to say is I feel that my daughter's being brainwashed. I feel that, and I know who's doing it, and he know he know what he's doing. The minute she left his house, that was his intention. She's not the only one he's done like that. He's tried to do some other woman that he was staying with the same way, but he didn't succeed in that.
Now a newly blonde LaToya is announcing a 900 number to reveal more Jackson family secrets.
They will definitely hear my voice, and it would be recording. It will be basically a menu, and you decide on who you want to hear about.
She also promises to reveal secrets about Michael's plastic surgery, his skin color, his relationships with Lisa Marie, Brooke Shields.
I don't want to really say anything about my family, but, you can say it in a way where, it's done in a pleasant way, and at the same time, you're speaking the truth, and you're telling the truth, and you're not being misquoted.
Was I mad at my sister? Yes, I was very upset. I was very hurt because there were a lot of lies that were told, and I hadn't seen my sister for a very long time, but we've spoken recently. And
do you know why she would do that?
Yes, I do know why now, and she was in a lot of pain, physically being abused as well as a lot of mental.
Were you ever abused?
No.
Did you ever see abuse?
No.
So this had to shock you that Toya said these things.
Yeah, it was very surprising.
But now you understand.
But now I guess you have to put yourself in the situation. Would I have done that, or would I not have? I think I probably would not have done it and just would have gotten my butt kicked until, I hate to say that, but
that's just me. But everyone's different, and she's totally apologized for everything that she's done, and she's with the family again, and that's the most important thing.
You have also in the past made comments about your father, Joe, accusing him of molesting you and other forms of child abuse, and now you say, quote, "No other man, alive or dead, has done anything like what Joseph did for his family, and I thank him for that." So is this a contradiction?
No, it is not. I thank my father. My father did a wonderful job of raising all of us, and I have to tell you that when you're young, you see things differently than when you get older. When you get older and you have children and you're used to your nieces and nephews, you understand why your father disciplined you the way you did. You understand. Back then, parents beat their children back then. They don't do that today. If you do it today, you're going to jail.
But you stand by the comments you made about molestation and child abuse.
My father is a very wonderful man, Matt. I have to tell you something. And my father's getting older. I love him with all my heart.
I'm out of time, but I just want to make sure, you standing by your original statements about your dad?
My father's a wonderful person, and he always will be. He has a great heart. And yes, I do love him, and I do care for him a great deal.
Toya Jackson. Toya, it's good to have you here. I appreciate it.